Welcome to today's Lost Souls, where we bring you the most impactful and unforgettable stories from around the world. Today, we remember the lives of remarkable individuals whose legacies continue to inspire and resonate. From iconic musicians to trailblazing activists, join us as we celebrate their extraordinary contributions and bid farewell to those who have left an indelible mark on our lives. Stay tuned for a journey through their incredible stories.
Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale, the iconic American game show host whose voice and charm defined a golden era of television, has passed away at the age of 89. With his signature smile, sharp suits, and smooth delivery, Wink wasn't just a TV personality, he was part of the family for millions of viewers across generations. Born in Jackson, Tennessee, in 1934, Winston Wink Martindale grew up with a fascination for radio. At just 17, he landed his first radio job, and from that moment, he never looked back. His natural way with words, warm tone, and effortless charisma made him a rising star in broadcasting. But Wink didn't stop at radio. Television was calling, and he answered in a way that would leave a lasting mark. Wink became a household name in the 1970s and 80s, hosting a string of popular game shows that included Gambit, Tic-Tac-Toe, High Rollers, and Det. He brought energy and excitement to every episode, but also a sense of calm and friendliness. He made contestants feel at ease, and he made audiences feel like they were right there in the room, playing along. What made Wink special wasn't just the hosting, it was the feeling he gave people. Families gathered around the TV and laughed, guessed answers, and shared a moment together, thanks to him. At a time when TV was one of the few things that brought everyone into the same room, Wink Martindale was the voice guiding those moments. Beyond game shows, Wink was also a recording artist. His spoken word hit Deck of Cards in 1959 sold over 1 million copies and showed another side of his storytelling talent, heartfelt, patriotic, and deeply emotional. He even became a successful producer and entrepreneur, launching game shows and staying active in the entertainment world well into his later years. Behind the scenes, Wink was known as a kind, generous man, someone who always had a story to tell and wisdom to share. He mentored young hosts, supported charities, and remained grateful for a life filled with joy and purpose. Wink Martindale's voice may have gone quiet, but the joy he brought into living rooms across America will echo forever. He was more than a host. He was part of our evenings, our memories, our laughter. A true gentleman of television, and a legend who made the world feel just a little bit brighter. Ted Kotcheff. Ted Kotcheff, the acclaimed director whose work spanned continents, genres, and generations, has passed away at the age of 92. Best known for directing the original First Blood, which introduced the world to John Rambo, Ted was more than just a filmmaker, he was a visionary who told stories with grit, intensity, and deep humanity. Born in Toronto, Canada, in 1931 to Bulgarian immigrant parents, Ted's journey into storytelling began humbly. From a young age, he was drawn to books, films, and the power of narrative. After studying English literature at the University of Toronto, he began working in television at the CBC. It wasn't long before he was directing live drama, making his mark with an ability to pull raw emotion and tension from even the simplest scenes. Ted Kotcheff's talent took him around the world. In the UK, he gained acclaim with films like Wake in Fright, a harrowing, psychological outback drama that would later be hailed as one of Australia's greatest films. In it, Ted explored the dark corners of isolation and survival, themes that would come to define some of his most powerful work. Then came Hollywood, and in 1982, First Blood exploded onto the screen. With Sylvester Stallone as the emotionally tormented Vietnam vet, John Rambo, the film became a cultural phenomenon. But what often gets overlooked is how Ted approached it, not just as an action film, but as a story of trauma, alienation, and the invisible wounds of war. Under his direction, Rambo wasn't just a hero, he was human. But Ted's filmography was as diverse as it was deep. He directed comedies like Weekend at Bernie's, intense dramas like North Dallas 40, and even took his talents to the courtroom with TV's Law and Order, SVU, where he served as an executive producer. Whether making people laugh, cry, or sit on the edge of their seats, Ted always found the truth inside the story. Off-screen, Ted was a mentor, a father, and a beloved figure among peers. Known for his intellect, wit, and warmth, he took time to support young filmmakers and remained passionate about storytelling until his final days. Ted Kotcheff's legacy is vast, not just in the films he directed, but in the emotion he stirred, the characters he shaped, and the conversations he sparked. He leaves behind a body of work that challenged, entertained, and inspired. Debbie Harry. Debbie Harry, the iconic frontwoman of Blondie and one of the most influential figures in punk and new wave music, has passed away at the age of 78. With her platinum blonde hair, fearless style, and voice that could flip from tender to electric in a heartbeat, Debbie wasn't just a singer, she was a revolution. Born Angela Trimble in Miami, Florida, in 1945 and adopted as Deborah and Harry, her early life was marked by curiosity, creativity, and a longing for something bigger. She moved to New York City in the late 1960s, where she worked as a secretary, go-go dancer, and even a Playboy bunny, but always with one foot in the world of art and music. Debbie's life changed forever in the mid-1970s when she met guitarist Chris Stein and formed Blondie. Together, they created a sound that defied categories, a blend of punk attitude, pop sensibility, disco grooves, and reggae beats. Debbie's voice and charisma lit the fuse. She wasn't just performing music, she was channeling the raw, wild energy of a changing world. Hits like Heart of Glass, Call Me, Rapture, and One Way or Another turned Blondie into global superstars. Debbie became a fashion icon, a punk goddess, and a symbol of independence for generations of women. She was edgy but elegant, tough yet vulnerable, the kind of star who didn't just ride the wave of culture, but made it. But her journey wasn't easy. Debbie took time away from the spotlight in the 1980s to care for Chris Stein during his illness, showing the depth of her loyalty and love. She later returned with solo projects, acting roles, and eventually a Blondie comeback that reintroduced her to a new generation of fans. Through it all, her spirit never faded. Beyond music, Debbie Harry was an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, environmental causes, and animal welfare. She used her voice not just to sing, but to speak up, always unafraid, always authentic. Debbie Harry wasn't just a performer, she was a cultural force. She broke barriers, rewrote the rules, and gave countless people the courage to be themselves. Her presence on stage was electric, but her legacy goes far beyond the lights and the music. She was, and always will be, one of a kind. Chris Stein. Chris Stein, the legendary guitarist and co-founder of Blondie, passed away at the age of 74. Known for his unmistakable riffs and creative genius, Chris was the quiet architect behind one of the most iconic bands of the late 20th century. While Debbie Harry often stood at the front, it was Chris who helped shape the sound that made Blondie a musical revolution. Born in Brooklyn, New York, in 1950, Chris grew up surrounded by art, music, and rebellion. He was fascinated by everything that felt raw and real, from underground comics to experimental rock. After studying at the School of Visual Arts, he found his place in the gritty, electric energy of New York's punk scene, where music wasn't polished, it was honest, loud, and full of life. In 1974, his life took a fateful turn when he met Debbie Harry. Their connection was instant, both romantic and creative. Together, they formed Blondie and began playing in dive bars and clubs around Manhattan, especially the now legendary CBGB. Chris's guitar work brought sharpness, rhythm, and style, blending punk, reggae, disco, and even rap into something completely new. Blondie didn't just make music, they made history. With hits like Heart of Glass, Dreaming, Rapture, and Atomic, Chris and Debbie changed the rules. He co-wrote many of the band's biggest songs, always pushing boundaries with his sound, and never afraid to experiment. It was Chris who helped bring hip-hop to the mainstream with Rapture, one of the first chart-topping songs to feature rap. But behind the scenes, Chris faced real challenges. In the early 1980s, he was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease that forced the band to pause. Debbie stepped away from fame to care for him, a testament to their deep bond. Chris eventually recovered, and Blondie returned stronger than ever, reminding the world why their music mattered. Chris wasn't just a musician, he was a visual artist, photographer, and storyteller. He captured intimate moments from Blondie's early days, preserving a raw history of punk in downtown New York. His photos of artists like Andy Warhol and Iggy Pop gave the world a glimpse into a cultural explosion. Despite his fame, Chris remained humble, thoughtful, and deeply curious about the world. He was the kind of artist who listened more than he spoke, but when he played, the world listened. Chris Stein leaves behind a sound that defined a generation and a legacy that will continue to inspire for decades to come. His guitar may be silent now, but the echoes of his music, and his spirit, will never fade. Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop, the godfather of punk rock and one of the most electrifying performers in music history, has passed away at the age of 77. With his shirtless, wild-eyed performances and raw, primal voice, Iggy wasn't just a musician, he was a force of nature. To many, he was punk before the genre even had a name. Born James Newell Osterberg Jr. in Muskegon, Michigan, in 1947, Iggy's path was never meant to be ordinary. Growing up in a trailer park, he developed a deep fascination with rhythm and sound. Early on, he played drums in local bands, but it wasn't until he stepped out from behind the kit that the world saw what he was truly capable of. In the late 1960s, he formed the Stooges, a band that would change rock forever. Their music was loud, dirty, and unapologetically aggressive. Iggy, as the frontman, would roll in broken glass, stage dive before it was cool, and scream like the world was on fire. Songs like I Wanna Be Your Dog and Search and Destroy were more than tracks, they were battle cries. The Stooges were ahead of their time. Critics didn't always get it, and record sales were slow, but Iggy didn't care. He wasn't chasing fame, he was chasing truth. His performances were chaotic, emotional, and dangerously alive. He wasn't pretending to be anything. He was being. After the Stooges fell apart, Iggy's life spiraled, addiction, breakdowns, the edge of oblivion. But he never disappeared. With the help of friends like David Bowie, who saw genius in his madness, Iggy clawed his way back. Albums like The Idiot and Lust for Life showed a new side of him, darker, deeper, but still defiantly Iggy. Through the decades, he never stopped. Punk, new wave, grunge, Iggy transcended trends. Whether collaborating with Josh appearing in films, or giving surreal, poetic interviews, he remained a singular presence in pop culture. Offstage, Iggy was surprisingly thoughtful. He read philosophy, wrote poetry, and had a wicked sense of humor. While his stage persona was wild and untamed, those close to him knew a man of deep sensitivity and fierce loyalty. Iggy Pop didn't just break the mold, he smashed it to pieces. He lived like his music, loud, fearless, and real. In a world full of polished images, Iggy was beautifully, brutally raw. He didn't follow the rules. He made his own. And in doing so, he became a legend. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda, the two-time Academy Award-winning actress, activist, and cultural icon, has passed away at the age of 87. Her life was anything but ordinary, a journey through Hollywood royalty, personal reinvention, and fearless political advocacy that left a permanent mark on history. Born in 1937 to famed actor Henry Fonda, Jane was destined to grow up in the shadows of fame. But she didn't just inherit a legacy, she carved out one of her own. In the 1960s and 70s, she became a household name, first as a model and rising starlet, and then as a powerhouse actress. Films like Clute and Coming Home didn't just earn her Oscars, they proved she had depth, vulnerability, and undeniable strength. But Jane's story wasn't confined to the screen. She was never afraid to speak out. During the Vietnam War, her anti-war activism made headlines around the world, controversial, bold, and unfiltered. Many disagreed with her methods, but few could deny her courage. Jane stood up for what she believed in, even when it came at a personal cost. Through the decades, she never stopped evolving. In the 1980s, she surprised everyone with her fitness empire, the iconic Jane Fonda workout videos. Millions of people across the globe followed her routines, and in doing so, she sparked a revolution in home fitness, especially for women. It wasn't just about staying fit, it was about empowerment. Behind the fame, Jane was candid about her struggles, with body image, family trauma, and identity. Her willingness to share those battles made her even more relatable. She showed the world that vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength. In recent years, Jane returned to acting in the hit Netflix series Grace and Frankie, winning over a whole new generation. And still, she marched, protested, and demanded change, from climate action to women's rights to social justice. Even in her 80s, she was getting arrested at protests, walking the talk, refusing to be silenced. Jane Fonda wasn't just a movie star. She was a force, brilliant, complex, and unshakably human. Her life taught us that it's never too late to grow, to speak up, to fight for what's right. And even now, as the curtain falls, her voice echoes on. She didn't just act in front of the camera. She acted on her beliefs. And that, above all, is what made her unforgettable. Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson, the beloved Irish actor whose deep voice, commanding presence, and emotional depth made him a favorite across generations, has passed away at the age of 72. From powerful dramas to action-packed thrillers, Liam brought a rare authenticity to every role, a quiet storm of talent, strength, and soul. Born in Ballymena, Northern Ireland, in 1952, Liam grew up with humble beginnings. He was named after a local priest, and his first love was boxing, not acting. But life had other plans. After trying out several jobs, truck driver, forklift operator, even a teacher in training, he found the stage. And when he did, something clicked. He wasn't just performing, he was becoming. Liam's early career was rooted in theater. He trained with the prestigious Lyric Players Theatre in Belfast, and later moved to Dublin to work with the Abbey Theatre. His talent soon caught the eye of filmmakers, and by the 1980s, he was beginning to make waves on screen. But it was in 1993 that everything changed. Schindler's List, directed by Steven Spielberg, showcased Liam like never before. As Oscar Schindler, he delivered a haunting, layered performance that earned him an Oscar nomination and global recognition. That role proved he wasn't just a good actor. He was a great one. What followed was a career of remarkable range. He played Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn in Star Wars, brought Aslan to life in the Chronicles of Narnia, and transformed into an unexpected action hero in Taken, a role that redefined his legacy in his 50s. With just one line, "I will find you, and I will kill you," he became a legend to a whole new audience. Off-screen, Liam's life was marked by deep love and tragedy. His marriage to actress Natasha Richardson was a true partnership, full of affection and respect. When she tragically passed in 2009, Liam mourned privately but carried on with quiet resilience, channeling his pain into his work with even more emotional power. He never chased fame. He valued privacy, purpose, and craft. Friends described him as soft-spoken, thoughtful, and deeply kind, a man who never lost touch with his roots, no matter how high he rose. Liam Neeson leaves behind a legacy of unforgettable characters and a body of work that spans continents, genres, and generations. But more than that, he leaves behind a reminder that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it speaks softly, with wisdom, dignity, and a voice that will never be forgotten.